This is Hobby Talks, a podcast series exploring politics and policy-focused conversations with experts, scholars, and those guiding the most complex issues facing our region and state. This podcast is a production from the Hobby School of Public Affairs in partnership with the Center for Student Media at the University of Houston. In this episode, Hobby Talks host Jim Granado discusses the inner workings of county government with Harris County Precinct 3, Tom Ramsey.
Welcome to Hobby Talks. I'm your host, Jim Granado, Dean of the Hobby School of Public Affairs. In this episode, I'm joined by Harris County Precinct 3 Commissioner Tom Ramsey to discuss the county's new fiscal year budget and his office's priorities, including continued progress in addressing complex issues such as flood mitigation, public safety, and infrastructure. Commissioner Ramsey oversees one of the fastest growing areas in Harris County, spanning from Cypress to Baytown, with Tomball and Huffman to the north, and the Memorial Villages and Spring Branch to the south. The precinct maintains nearly 6,800 miles of roadway, 72 parks, and 10 community and nature centers. He has served as Harris County Precinct 3 Commissioner since 2020 and is now in his second term. Before being elected as a county commissioner, he served as the mayor of Spring Valley Village from 2012 to 2020 and is a professional engineer with over 45 years of experience. Commissioner Ramsey, welcome to the Hobby Talks.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So what drew you to a career in public service, and how does your technical background as a civil engineer inform your policy priorities?
Well, that's a good question. That was really my technical. Most of our projects that we worked with were public sector projects. Having worked with 50 cities and 20 counties and every state agency you can't name, you do those kinds of efforts. Could be a master drainage plan. It could be a new bridge. It could be a wastewater treatment plant. So you're working with those elected bodies, and I've made many city council meetings, many commissioner court meetings, many state agencies. So it really, I feel like I've been doing public service for the last 45 years because most of the projects I've worked on have been public sector projects.
After months of debate over how to bridge a budget deficit, Commissioners Court passed a $2.8 million budget for the 2026 fiscal year. How is the budget balanced, and what are the key components in the budget?
I think it's important to understand county government. We have a statutory responsibility to do certain things. These include the county jail was statutory, maintaining our roads, that's statutory, law enforcement, that's statutory, the court system, that's statutory. Then there's things that are not statutory. It doesn't make them bad, it doesn't make them non-essential, but it's not necessarily mandatory or things that we're required to do. So when you look at a $2.8 billion budget, of that number, 500 million of that is non-statutory activities. It could be well-meaning pre-kindergarten programs. It could be well-meaning public assistant programs. It could be the libraries. It could be other things that we could say, okay, we can do that. But that really is a choice that we do. So I started with, let's look at what we are required to do, what we're legally mandated to do. Let's start there. We have a $500 million, I would think, list of projects that are list of areas that we can draw from. So balancing the budget was pretty easy. That's not complicated. We're coming out of COVID. During COVID, we got over $1 billion of ARPA money. That's federal money, to do certain things, to bridge gaps, to deal with issues that were more COVID related. So it's understood when we started programs back in COVID that at the end of the money, when the money runs out, we're going to stop the programs. So you had a lot of that going on. The county judge really didn't understand that part of it in terms of what we had to stop and what we needed to stop. So there was the confusion there in terms of, we've got to cut the budget. No, we don't. We just need to focus on the required mandatory requirements, one, And number two, we knew for the last 4 years, when the ARPA money runs out, any program funded by ARPA was going to end. But there's again, it's kind of hard to stop something once you started something. So that is kind of the debate. That was the arguments, if you will, was more along the lines of, well, we don't want to stop it. Well, we don't have money to continue it, one, and two, that's not a statutory requirement that we do that program.
So is the experience in county government with the budget, the mandatory component you're talking about, has that grown? Like the federal level, that's eating into the discretionary part of the budget, right? And so is that happening here at the county level too?
Absolutely. There are the things that and I'm not saying these needs are necessarily bad. A kindergarten daycare program, that's not bad in and of itself. There's a lot of nonprofits that deal in that area. I like to depend on nonprofits. Sometimes the county jumps in the middle of something that a nonprofit should be doing. So I've really guided those programs away from the county funding and over to nonprofit funding. Unfortunately, there's a lot of nonprofits that come to the county with their hand out, wanting to be funded as well. And in my experience with nonprofits is they work with the business community. I mean, there are dollars set aside in government, but that's not anything like what's set aside in the corporate world. There are hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars there. Nonprofits should be more appealing to them, and I think they can be. Anyway, that's been my push. That's what I see. There's 254 counties in Texas. That's how I think the majority of those 254 counties operate.
What's next for the new budget?
Well, it's implemented. So we just got to keep in the budget. We look at that on a regular basis. I know we've got within the precinct 3, we've got 400 employees and a whole set of responsibilities. So we manage that budget very carefully. We know we just have a set amount of money to deal with our roads, deal with the parks, deal with any other new initiatives that we may have out there. So we're in the middle, we're in the budget, we're off and running, and things are actually in really good shape at the county, in spite of maybe what other people are saying.
And so this process, now that you're implementing this budget, there's continuous discussions between departments and the county's OMB. Is that the way it works?
Yeah, that's correct. We've got our funding set. We know if we're going to order new equipment, we know what that is. Some of this we won't order till the second quarter. Yeah, the whole county, the 20,000 people that work at Harris County, all within different departments and different responsibilities. They now have a budget. It's implemented. We have a really, I think, good, effective way of taking care of our dollars and cents. And I frankly, we're a lot better shape than most in terms of funding and clarity on what we're going to do and not do.
In terms of policies and investments, what are you most proud of and why?
I really have to say, I'm going to start with, we'll probably get into the 2018 bond issue in a minute, but I'm really proud that we've been able to get a clear plan forward on the 2018 bond. We passed a bond back in 2018 for $2.5 billion. We hustled and have found another $2.7 billion. That's $5.2 billion total dollars. We've got a plan. We've already put $1.5 billion of projects in the ground. We got another $3.5 billion to be done. So we are going to invest $3.5 billion in flood mitigation, flood control projects in the next 3 to 5 years. That's amazing. No other county in Texas, nobody else in that I know of looks at their problems and actually says, we're going to do something. There wasn't a single county, not to be critical of my friends and neighbors all around me. Nobody else has had a bond issue to deal with flooding. Flooding is our number one issue in the region. And I'm proud of Harris County and what they've done, stepped up Now we're about to have $3.5 billion of investments made in the county.
Let's talk about the bond issue. So that happened in 2018, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so if you have pushed for neighboring counties, particularly Liberty and Montgomery, to adopt stronger flood mitigation efforts, how do we maintain the momentum in our progress?
Well, it's pretty simple. I try to keep my communications straightforward and to the point, and I've challenged my friends in Montgomery County to adopt the same flood mitigation criteria that we have in Harris County. Developers are used to it in Harris County. They'll be used to it in Montgomery County. And the main thing is, whether it's Montgomery County or Liberty County, those flood mitigation criteria will keep water off of their own county people. The residents in Montgomery County, the residents in Liberty County will benefit more than the residents in Harris County. But I don't need any more water coming into Harris County, and that would be much appreciated. And these are pretty minimal. They're not draconian in terms of what they would involve.
Shifting gears a little bit, what's your approach to good governance?
I think when I look at government and again, having worked with 20 counties in Texas prior to even doing this, serving in this role in 50 cities, what I've noticed about good governance is they identify a problem and they go solve it. They don't politicize it. They don't go into hysteria. They take a very methodical, well, we really need to solve this problem, and they go and do it, whether it's safe neighborhoods. I'll brag a little bit on the unincorporated area of Harris County. There's more people live in unincorporated Harris County than live in the city of Houston. And as I tell my good friend, Mayor Whitmire, he's the mayor of the second largest thing in Harris County. And he of course is like, we work well together. That's a key point. The county and the city must work well together. We have incredible responsibilities. But when you look at safe neighborhoods, that's the number one thing people talk to me about, safe neighborhoods. I need to at least be safe in my neighborhoods. When you look at that in unincorporated Harris County, and I compare a key crime statistic, last year there were 550 people murdered in Harris County that live in Harris County. Of that number, only 95 were in unincorporated Harris County. The rest of them were in the city of Houston. So the crime rate in unincorporated Harris County is 5 times less than it is in the city of Houston. So you wonder why people are moving to unincorporated Harris County, why they're choosing to live here. I think schools are important. We have 15 school districts in Precinct 3, but I also think it's crime. People have got to be safe. I think Mayor Whitmire is given some significant increases. He's retaining his officers. We work closely with them. They're doing a good job, but he's starting from a point of high crime. Crime is high. It may be down from the COVID peak, but 550 murders in the entire area in a year, that's unacceptable. So I think focusing on those kinds of issues and saying there is something we can do about it, and we have invested in the contract deputy program in unincorporated Harris County. That's a program where neighborhoods voluntarily sign a contract with the county to patrol in their neighborhoods. You wonder why the crime rate's 5 times less? It's because you actually have people patrolling in the neighborhood.
Okay. Boots on the ground.
Yes, sir.
So the curriculum and training at the hobby school emphasizes very strong quantitative and data analysis. That's the basis for the creation of the school 10 years ago. In what ways does data drive your policy discussions and solutions? I mean, you're a civil engineer, so I suspect quant matters a lot to you.
Totally. I mean, just like the crime numbers, I was really frustrated with, I talked to the HPD, they'd give me their crime statistics. I talked to the sheriff, he'd give his crime statistics. The only person that I finally went to that had real numbers was the coroner's office. You can't argue with the coroner. You either somebody died or they didn't. And he has to give an answer. Why? How did they die? This was suicide. This was drug overdose. This was a homicide. And so I really have begun to, over the last 3 years, depend on that data, not just as to measure, but to understand. When you look at the amount of fentanyl deaths, then is there something we can do specifically and targeted in that arena? Suicides and other types, and just traffic accidents. There were over 500 people died in wrecks, car crash, vehicle wreck in Harris County last year. Well, what are we doing about it? We've all adopted this Vision Zero. Vision Zero is nobody's going to die of a traffic accident next year. I think a lot of that is just a pie in the sky objective. There's no meat and potato issues associated with that. I go to A&M, not just because I went there, but because they have Texas Transportation Institute. And I spend time with the experts. And I said, how can we make our roads safer in unincorporated Harris County? One example they gave me, they said, if you would just put up a sign before you, as you approach the curve in the road, you would reduce accidents by 40% with one sign. I'm working on it. I haven't got a sign on every curb in unincorporated Harris County, but we're working on it. That's how the data drives our decisions, whether we go and do an analysis of our roads, and if we might do an overlay in this road, and another road we might just patch and repair. So data drives, I think, everything we do.
So I've asked you about policies and investments that you're most proud of. Related to that, though, is what are your current priorities?
Well, it would certainly, with 6,800 miles of road, we have to understand what that is. We can't go fix it all in one setting. We'll start with this year. Since I've been commissioner, I think we've spent over $400 million on just road improvements, and they're very targeted. We'll spend another $50 million plus this year on doing road improvements, but turning 2-lane to 4-lane concrete boulevards, you can't get many miles per year out of that. So we're going to have to look at maybe some other techniques. Mayor Whitmire called me, and he had just gotten a letter. I like this story. One, because it's true, but two, because it illustrates investments. He called me and he said a guy named Juan had just sent him a letter. And Juan's letter to the mayor went like this: Dear Mayor Whitmire, I'm driving a truck on Campbell Road from 290 down to near Gassner. Your road is tearing up my truck. Would you please fix your road? So I'll give credit to Juan. He wrote a letter. I give credit to Mayor Whitmire. He called me. He said, Ramsey, I noticed this is in your precinct. I said, it is in my precinct, but it's in your city. You see, the city has responsibility for the roads in the city. I have responsibility for unincorporated. He says, what are your thoughts on this? I said, well, I've got road and bridge crews. I've got crews that can go build roads. I know how to fix the road. We've got people to do it. The city doesn't have that immediate ability to do that. I'll tell you what, if you'll go halvies with me, we'll fix the road. If I do it, it'll be $2 million. If you do it, it'll be $20 million. He says, well, why don't you do it? I said, okay, just give me $1 million. To me, that's how government's supposed to work. Yeah. You identify a problem and you go solve it. So many times we talk about different things. We have water leaks in the city of Houston. That's not my problem, thank goodness. That is Mayor Whitmire's. But to his credit, he went to Austin and he got $500 million to help fix leaks in the city of Houston. I like that. I like going and saying, this is a specific thing that we need to fix. Why don't we go do it? And I think in the county, really, that's what we're doing. When I didn't think that the formula was fair in how it was distributed, there's an overflow of money that comes out of the Harris County Toll Road Authority. So the Toll Road Authority is the best run authority, best run toll road in the state. I know that because TxDOT just gave us all their back office work to take care of the toll roads statewide. So we have money that comes out, and it's in the neighborhood of maybe 200, 300 million a year. Well, we divvy that up between the 4 precincts. Well, I'm saying I have 49% of the roads and I'm getting 19% of the money.
Right.
That's just not right. I
Right.
did the math. And to the credit of the Commissioners Court, they didn't go political on me. They didn't say, well, you're the only Aggie or Republican or whatever you want to call me on the court. They said, you know what, let's look at it. So they had 3 factors. They had the condition of the road. They had the amount of money invested in the precinct in the last 10 years. And they had future impact. So there was like 3 factors. We've got a new formula. I'm now getting 31%. The precincts 2 and 4 get 25%, and precinct 1 gets 19%. Of course, he has a lot fewer roads. Well, that's how government's supposed to work.
Right.
How it was working before was not right. That was political. This is a numbers-based solution to a clear problem.
Right. Based on the problem, the ones that are the priority, the ones that are the worst, right? That's
Right.
where they should go.
Right.
Total common sense. Total. So what advice do you have for our students who want to make a difference in local government?
Well, I would say go ahead and get involved, and just know I got involved in government because my job was a part of that. I designed roads, I designed treatment plants, and all those types of activities were working for government. But we're all involved with government. If you're coaching a little league team, there's probably a field you play on that's maintained by some government entity. So whether it's park related or whether it's infrastructure related, whether it's law enforcement related, there has got to be some part of an interest that you have. If it's helping people that are in need, if it's dealing with chronic issues such as in the court system and that very complicated process, there's a government involvement, but you don't usually start getting involved by trying to go and burn anything down. How you get involved is what can we go to do, build something. And I think what I've seen, and we're blessed in Harris County, we're the most diverse county in America. And I think for the most part, we don't have near the partisan battles within the county and the city as other areas do. So I would, from my time I moved here in 1981. I coached Little League. I was involved in Chamber of Commerce. I was involved in Leadership Houston. I was involved in, and one thing always led to another. I wouldn't be serving as county commissioner if I hadn't started volunteering in a lot of other areas first. Too often people get involved in politics just because of the politics of it all, rather than do you really understand the issues in unincorporated Harris County compared to the city of Houston, compared to the region.
Final question. Is there something that I didn't ask you that you would like to talk about?
Well, we covered law enforcement. That was a big encouragement that we have. We got big issues with the court system, and some of that is coming out of COVID. The courts many times were shut down. We've got our backlog is large. A lot of the judges now are starting to work through that. We've got major issues at the jail. We're going to have to figure that out soon. We're working on an agreement. People don't talk about it much, but we've got an agreement coming up between the county and the Texans and the rodeo That's up in 2032. Everybody's at the table. We're all talking through the issues, being sure we understand what the great possibilities are. My approach to doing something with the Texans and the rodeo in the county is let's go out and do something bodacious. I look back at what they did with the Astrodome, and when they built it, that was bodacious. I think when they said, "Gosh, why don't we put a port in Houston?" What do you mean? It's 52 miles from the Gulf. Okay, well, let's go dig a channel, and they did. They did it in less than 5 years, and now we have the largest port in America. So I'm hopeful that we can start looking and being more bodacious in the county. This is the center of economic. This is the engine that's driving Texas. You can tell all my Dallas friends that, but this is truly the engine that's driving Texas, and I think they understand that, and hopefully we can do a better job of not only communicating to that, but to living up to that potential.
It's a great word, bodacious. Aggies understand that word real well.
Aggies from Crockett understand bodacious. They do.
Well, Commissioner, I want to thank you for your insightful conversation with me today and being our guest. For more information on upcoming programming, please visit our website and follow us on social media. Again, Commissioner, thank you very much.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you for listening. This podcast represents the views of the guests and not of the University of Houston. The Center for Student Media provided sound and engineering support, and Soundcast Music provided the podcast song. The series is produced by the Communications and Marketing team at the Hobby School of Public Affairs. For more information on Hobby Talks, including past and upcoming episodes, visit uh.edu/hobby/hobbytalks.